Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
What up, though, people? Welcome to Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you kicking your day off with the crew. We got the whole starting five back again. Squad. Mr. Flannel Sam. Hey. Mr. Matthew Broder. Detroit's #1 draft pick, KG in the sound booth. And Woodward Sports MVP, Mr. J.B. Smooth in the TD booth. We got a packed show for you all today. Chat family, as always, you're a very, very big part and important piece to this Wake Up Woodward family. Go ahead and smash that like button, and once you do, encourage somebody else to do the same. How you feeling, Flannel?
I'm feeling all right. You know, obviously last night didn't go how we wanted with the Red Wings, but we're gonna talk about it a little bit more. Sometimes all you need is a little bit of a therapy session. So yeah, that's what we're here for.
I got some questions for you when we get to that segment. Oh, we will. Mr. Broder, how's it going this morning, brother?
Going great. We were just talking about Billy Squires' Stroke Me song. It's been a fantastic morning.
It's Stroke Man. Right? Right?
Is it not Stroke Me?
Is it Stroke Me? Is it?
The song is called The Stroke.
Ooh, I thought. Let me look that up real quick.
Fast forward times 2.
It's time. It's the morning.
I just want to state I wasn't a part of that conversation. So.
Yes, you was. Stop playing.
Man.
I'm verifying that right now.
Mr. Broder, do you want to tell the people what we're talking about
I
today?
would absolutely love to. We're going to cover that Red Wings game. Actually, you got an answer for me?
It's me.
It's me?
It's me.
Stroke me.
Yeah.
All right, I'll stroke you with the show rundown here.
Hey!
We're going to talk about this Red Wings loss.
Hey,
Overtime loss last night to the Caps. That was a big one.
Yeah.
No, bro. It was huge. We're going to get into that 8:15, 8:30. We're going to review some of these clips from the Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes press conferences down in Orlando at the NFL meetings. There was a lot that they covered. We got a couple clips today. We're going to be covering them throughout the week, kind of reacting, speculating on what they're talking about. According to Brad Holmes, it's been the best free agent haul that he's had since he's been in Detroit. We got Rod Beard, the legend Rod Beard, sports editor-in-chief at the Detroit News, coming on at 8:45. We're talking all around Detroit. The first segment, and then we got the Pistons. We got to have a little therapy. It's going to be therapy with Rod at 9 o'clock. Then at 9:15, we're going to round this out with some of these new rules that the Lions submitted, what the kickoff rule means for them, the hip drop tackle, all of these things we're going to cover. What does that mean for the Lions? I have some maybe a wild take to put in front of you guys. We'll get to that. And obviously what's trending with JB Smooth. We're going to get to that at 9:40 today.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really interested to get to that rules segment because the Lions, man, with the level of aggression that they've played with, I wonder, and especially with as much as people been crying about the Detroit Lions' toughness, their defense, their hits, I wonder how much this is going to affect them in this coming season.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited. This team's going to be good. I feel the confidence oozing out of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and Rod Wood.
Yep.
It's about to be a hell of a 2024 for this city.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Let's get around the city, man. Red Wings, they lose 4-3 in overtime at the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, that was a tough one. It's not, and I know we're going to get to it in more detail in the next segment. It's not the worst thing that could have possibly happened. It doesn't mean that it's over. Yesterday, it wasn't necessarily a must win. It was definitely a must point, and they got that point. But the problem is when you're chasing the team that you're facing, when you get one and they win, they get two. So that is one that the Red Wings would certainly like to have back, especially when you have a third period lead. It just speaks to how the Red Wings have been playing in their last 13 games. And we'll definitely get to that a little bit more, but that's just with the schedule they have coming up, that is one that you definitely let slip away. And you're going to be looking at this game, among many others, as, man, a missed opportunity if the Red Wings can't turn it around and make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll get more into that in the next segment.
Yeah.
Definitely got some questions for you. But the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Matthew Broder, tell us about this 3-3 tie versus the Tampa Bay Rays.
Spring training is over. This was their last game. They're headed back up north, actually headed directly to the Windy City. They open their season tomorrow at the Chicago White Sox. I'm excited for this season. But this final spring training game, from what you can take out of it, Casey Mize, he had himself a really good final spring training game. 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 0 walks, 6 Ks. That's how you want to end spring training. That's what you want to see out of Casey Mize heading into the season. I got big expectations now. This is a great finish. You agree, Flannel or KG?
Yeah, man. I'm really encouraged by what I saw by Casey Mize, man. It shows that he's getting more used to going the distance, being that starting pitcher that we expect to see. Giving up no walks is always great, 1 earned run. So hopefully they can keep this up, man. It's just really predicated on health. I can't preach that enough. It's the health bug. If they get past that, we should see good things from the Tigers.
Yeah. It's great seeing Casey Mize, even though it's spring training, pitch a game in which you pitch enough innings to qualify for a win. I know that when you're Casey Mize, you're coming back from Tommy John. There's going to be some sort of, I don't know about innings restriction, but you're probably not going to be seeing him pitch a lot of complete games this season, as you don't with most MLB pitchers in the modern baseball. But you would take 5 innings, 1 run out of him any single day of the week. So it was great to actually see him do it in spring training. Spring training, which is very, very close to the regular season. So hopefully a big year out of Casey Mize. And just imagine how huge that would be for this team. If Casey Mize can even be, I don't know, a reliable number 2 or number 3 pitcher, just a guy that every 5 days you can give him the ball, right, and he'll usually deliver. That would be massive for this team.
And I know we're going to get more into Tigers as we get closer to their season opener, but since we don't have them on the rundown, I wanted to spend a little bit more time on the Tigers in this opening segment. Tell us about this, man.
I got to use Dante for this content. Dante, 151, thanks so much for the $5 donation. He says, who is ready for some Tigers baseball? We can stop watching the Detroit Pistons. We need a fast start from the Tigers. That's actually going to be our main topic when we open the season tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We're going to be cooking on what they need to do to start the season hot, not get off to one of those rough Aprils. That's the key probably to this entire season.
Yeah. I'm look, as a fan, I am excited about these Detroit Tigers. More so than I have been in probably, I don't know, the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. With all of the hype kind of surrounding what they can do in this down AL Central, we're not going to get that confused. But you know what? You play the games that are on your schedule. You play the teams that are on the schedule. And I'm hoping that the Detroit Tigers have just enough from the pitching and just enough from the hitting. They can put together enough consistent hitting to give them a serious shot at this AL Central title.
And I'll tell you what, when you look at the team just on paper, I know on paper, what does that really mean? They're starting pitching, I like it a lot. It was so good that Matt Manning, who had an ERA under 4 but let up too many home runs, was relegated to start the season in AAA. That lineup, and I'll have this argument and I'll die on this hill. I like what I see. The only real black hole in that lineup is Javier Baez. But fortunately, the nature of baseball is that he's only 1 of 9. I mean, he had one of the worst seasons any single everyday player has ever had last year. But the Tigers as a whole were still successful, at least given their expectations, at least given the fact that when they had that slow start, going into last season, people were like, this is going to be a team that wins 45, 50 games. It could be historically bad. No, they won 78. So my point in all of that is that you can have good starting pitching on paper. You have a bullpen, which was great last year, and bringing back pretty much all of the pieces that were good for them last year, plus a Shelby Miller. And then on the offensive side of the ball, when it comes to hitting, you've got some young guys, and obviously when it comes to rookies, you never know. But really the only black hole is Javi Baez. And how much is that really going to affect him? You only get to bat once out of 9 times.
Yeah, you know what? Let's focus on Javi Baez just for a little bit here. We know what he was brought here to do. I don't think that there's any hope, not one small drop of hope from any fan of expectation for Javi Baez this season. Is there in this room, I don't want to speak for you all, is there anything that at all that you see in Javi Baez or that you believe can happen for him this year in a positive trend? What's up, KG?
I don't think so. Just especially at the plate. Like maybe defensively we'll get something, but Sam, I know you said he can't hurt us in different ways, but defensively, if he doesn't bring it, that could also hurt us as well. Because we've seen plenty of examples of him trying to do too much and making errors and setting this team back defensively. So he might make a great flashy play every once in a blue moon, but what is that really accounting for? So I really don't see any ways he can improve if he can just make solid contact at the plate. it would go a long way, but I don't even know if he can do that.
No, I mean, as I said, he had an OPS under 600 last year, which that's just beyond planets colliding terrible. My thing is that if he can somehow,
oh man,
and we're stuck with them. I'm not trying to be like a hopeful for Javi kind of guy. We're stuck with them. If he can somehow maybe get that on base percentage to 300, which isn't good by the way, but it's better than he has been. Maybe it's going to be okay. And like I said, I am not.
Stay above the Mendoza line.
Stay above the Mendoza line.
Please, we're not asking for much.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about? Like there's some positive to come out of Javi Baez.
What's up, man?
Such as
he can be at home watching actual good batters up at the plate. Like he can study a lot more. Like that's positive.
I think the worst part though is that it seems like that he's blocking a spot that could be for Ryan Kreidler, who had a phenomenal spring training.
Phenomenal.
And Javi Baez obviously had a horrific spring training. He managed to be worse this spring training than he was in last year's regular season. So wow. I guess the short answer is to all of this is absolutely not. If you're putting any of your eggs in the Javi Baez Javi Baez basket, I've got a beachfront property in Omaha, Nebraska to sell you.
Bro, if there's anything, I know we joke about it a lot, him swinging at sliders down and away, swinging at all these pitches out of the strike zone. If there's one thing you want to see improvement, it's that he lays off that pitch or has some ability to lay off that pitch. And he proved this spring training he hasn't improved there at all. Like, what are you doing all offseason?
He's set in his ways.
That's the problem. He's always been a high strikeout pitcher, a strikeout hitter, but you want to see a little bit of
discipline,
a little bit of advancement. We haven't seen it in 4 years.
Well, that's the problem with Javi Baez, because obviously his last 2 seasons are his worst. He had some years where he was pretty good with the Cubs and even during his short stint with the Mets. But one thing you can always count on with Javi Baez, he's a free swinger. He does not walk. Even when he was second in MVP, he still does not walk. And that is definitely not the type of player that I want on this team. I want somebody who actually gets on base. I want somebody who can take a walk. And Javi Baez, even when he was good, he never did. Always been a free swinger.
They want that too. That's what A.J. Hinch and Scott Harris and Michael Berdar, the hitting coach, that's who they want too. That's why they brought in Mark Hanna, specifically for that reason. Someone who has discipline at the plate, doesn't strike out off and walks, and can help these young players learn discipline. Javi Baez isn't that.
Who do you think is being hurt most and by Javi Baez being on this opening day roster?
Ryan Kreidler. I mean, that's his starting job in the big leagues, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
I
even
say the whole team.
Well, he even voiced a little bit of frustration, just that like he feels like he should be in the big leagues, and I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And if Javi Baez is taking a spot, it just makes me even more angry at him for even being on this team. And hey, more angry at Al Avila when you actually spend money. That's what you do. It was never gonna work.
I wanted George Springer, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah,
man,
we would have been a lot better off with like Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, or Carlos Correa. But I'm not bitter.
Man,
give me George Springer, baby.
Hey,
bring him home.
Hey,
oh man,
he might be able to get hits and home runs in the World Series, but can he get a hit against Matt Broder? Absolutely not.
Zero for one.
I'm hoping this isn't
this moment 0 for 1.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the Javi Baez situation doesn't become one that when we see after a month of games, after 2 months of games, that they continue to try and fit, the square peg through the circle hole.
Right.
Like at some point in time, let's commit all the way to kind of this youth movement and the vets that you have specifically gone out to get to put around these youth, this young talent. Javi Baez wasn't necessarily that. When he was signed, it was to try and take this team to a different level that he just never succeeded at doing. Let's move on as soon as we can. It's good, KG.
And A.J. Hinch don't strike me as a manager that's going to keep putting up with this type of stuff. We know last year he tried to kind of bench him a little bit, but he ended up giving him another chance, putting him back in the lineup. I don't think this continues this year. If he comes out and gives us 2 months of the same old BS, I think A.J. Hinch does respond. Maybe put him lower in the lineup, and if that doesn't work, you eventually bench him because you're wasting a spot in the rotation at that point. So we'll see. Do
you think he has more hits this season than Josh Horton has gifted memberships in our chat? He had 26 on the day. Shout out to you, Josh Horton. Thanks for. He said he almost woke up wanting to spread some Woodward love.
Let's go.
Dude,
Shout
we appreciate
out,
you. 26? Thank you. Thanks for investing in us. It really does mean a lot.
Javi Baez will get 27 hits. But what does that even mean? He'll at least get a 27. Whoa.
All right, so the Pistons over-under for wins this year was 28.5. Will he have more hits than that?
Yeah. I mean, there's 162 of those games.
Yeah, it's hard not to get.
But the Pistons, man, they are probably not going to have more wins than the Lions this year, man. No. That is disappointing. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit more. They do have a game tonight at the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I like the question in the rundown. How many points will Anthony Edwards have?
Talk about stroking it. Anthony Edwards is about to drop 50.
Yeah, I mean,
man,
I would almost guarantee 30.
Yeah.
Probably 40. I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, the Pistons aren't putting out a lineup right now that can win anything. So at this point,
or defend anything.
Right. So it's probably going to be a 25-point win for the Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards just padding his already excellent numbers to the season. That's all we can really hope for.
I really like Anthony Edwards as a player.
He is, man.
I really like Anthony Edwards. And we'll
might be the future face of the league, man.
Oh yeah, I like him. I like the attitude. I like the pop that he plays the game with. I like his athleticism. He has it, man. Yeah. All three levels he can score. Mid range, get into the rack.
He reminds me of like a tougher T-Mac.
Ooh,
like
you know what? I like that.
Yeah, a little more aggressive though.
Yeah, I like that one, man. And the Lions got a lot of stuff that's kind of coming out from these meetings down in Orlando. We're gonna definitely get into it more as the show goes on. Brother, anything of note?
We'll talk about it later. We gotta get to the next segment. We're up on the break.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Let's work it out.
Yes, if any of the any athletes in the city of Detroit want to get an extra workout, you go to Planet Fitness, of course. Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for only $10 a month, no commitment. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
After a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC, the same great service that customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Avenue just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Let's drive right down Woodward. Welcome back, people. What up, though, man? It's the Wake Up Woodward show. We got the whole starting five in the building as well. We got a packed show for you as well. We're talking all four sports today. And this segment, we got to ask the question, are the Red Wings in trouble? And probably the more appropriate question, how much trouble are the Red Wings in?
they're in trouble, all right? They're most certainly in trouble because let me just take you back to a better day in the city. Tuesday, February 27th, after an 8-3 win over these Washington Capitals, who the Red Wings unfortunately suffered an overtime loss to yesterday, the Red Wings had a 9-point lead, a 9-point cushion over that last wild card spot. And right now, if the season ended, they would be out of a playoff spot following that overtime loss to the Capitals, in which the Red Wings got a point, but the Capitals got 2. They went into that game down by 1. They come out of that game down by 2. And here's the reality with the Red Wings, and I hate to say it, they're in the process of effing their season, of collapsing, of choking. And that's just the way that it is. And it hurts even more that they're kind of going to do it a second year in a row, or it looks like they're going to do it a second year in a row. I know last year was a little bit of a fugazi run. They were in a spot briefly, but then nobody thought that they were as talented as they are this year. But it looks like they're going to do it again. I will say this. There have been some injuries. I know Dylan Larkin was out for for 8 games, and Jake Wallman has missed the last 4. But the problem is, it's not an excuse to completely collapse and choke like that, especially when this stretch has included losses, getting swept by Phoenix home and home, losing at Pittsburgh, who is below you in the standings, losing at Buffalo, who is below you in the standings. I know on the road's a tougher proposition, but then I'll give you that this whole thing started losing to the Islanders at home. That just cannot happen. In the last 13 games, the Detroit Red Wings have gone 3-9-1. That's bad. Obviously, that's bad, but it's during a time when the Red Wings had a stranglehold on the playoff spot, and then they just needed to kind of, I don't know, play 500 hockey, and they haven't been able to do it. And in that 13-game stretch, let's start with the offense. The Red Wings have scored 2.5 goals per game. 2.5. That would be on pace to be the 4th worst in the NHL. And one guy who has really been a no-show during this 13-game stretch is one Alex DeBrincat. The way that he's played in this last 13 games, I'll just say it, it's a disgrace. Last night was the first goal he had in 13 games. This was a guy who you were sold on being a 40 guy who's had 40 goals in a season twice. And throughout most of the year, he played very well. He made an all-star team, but when the team needed him most, when Dylan Larkin went down, Alex DeBrincat didn't give you really anything. But I also have to look at JT Compher, a guy who's had 40 points on the season. He's given you exactly 4 in the last 13 games, 1 goal. And then I have to go to Daniel Sprong, who's been playing so poorly that in the last 3 games, he's actually been a healthy scratch. He's had 40 points this season. He's only had 2 in the 9 games he's played in this 13-game stretch. So the offense, which you could mostly count on throughout the season, has played at one of the worst teams in the NHL pace over a 13-game stretch. That's a pretty damn good big sample size. You know how I know? Because they went from comfortably in a playoff spot to out of one in the span of basically a month. And that's what happened. But I'm certainly not letting that defense off the hook, because the defense in these last 13 games has given up 4.2 goals per game, which would be at pace to be the worst in the NHL. And I have to start first with Alex Lyon, who obviously when the Red Wings were playing well, it was partially off the back of Alex Lyon. He was kind of that hot goaltender. But in his last 9 starts, the Red Wings have gone 0-9 in those starts, and they've given up 4.7 goals per game, which is just, you just can't win that way. Alex Lyon, his Linsanity run is over. Now he's relegated to being what Alex Lyon has always been. Maybe your second goalie, maybe even your third. But I'm not going to but it's not all his fault. The reality is Justin Hull was supposed to be help for your defense. He doesn't play anymore. You got Jeff Petrie, Oli Mata, Ghost, Sherratt, all playing major minutes, and all of them, to some extent, have had some struggles or have been just downright bad. I know Ghost has been one of your top scorers, but he's more of an offensive defenseman. He's had his defensive struggles all season long, and they're really rearing its ugly head when they need them the most. And one of the other reasons why last night was so important, not just because you're playing the team that you're chasing, look at the 4 games that they have coming up.
Yes.
They've got at Carolina, who's second in their respective division. At Florida, who you lost to at home earlier on 4-0, who is second in their respective division. Then you got at Tampa Bay, a team that's underperforming a little bit this year, but they're still they're still the first wild card spot, and they still have, Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point, Victor Hedman, Steven Stamkos. They're all playing well, and Nikita Kucherov is having an MVP level season. The only reason why the Lightning really aren't better this year is because their future Hall of Fame all-world goaltender Andrei Vasilevsky is having his worst season of his career. And then when you come home to LCA, you get greeted by the New York Rangers, who have the best record in the NHL. This could all be over by the time these next 4 games happen. And honestly, the Red Wings have nobody to blame but themselves. You can't just collapse like that. And the blame, there's a lot of a blame to go around. But I'll let you guys respond first before I get to that.
No, that was gonna be my question. But what's good, KG?
No, I brought it up yesterday, and I'm bringing it back today. How much of this falls on Coach Derek Lalonde?
Well,
that's the question.
I'm glad you mentioned it, because you had that you had that yesterday, and I said a proportionate amount. So yeah, a lot of this falls on Derek Lalonde, because there's been some games, as we've all said, where they just get blown out. It's like they're not even trying. It's like when Dylan Larkin went down, it just kind of took the heart from the team. And I get it, he's your captain, he's your 1C, he's your best player, but we've all talked about how this team had a lot of depth, and when he went down, and even before he went down, they were just struggling. It just almost seems like they couldn't handle the fact that they were no longer sort of those like scrappy underdogs. This was no longer this Steve Yzerman team where they had where they were like, you know, oh, they're just building. They had to get a bunch of bad contracts.
Now you're catching people's best shots.
Now you're catching people's best shots. Now you have a 9-game lead in the playoffs, and at some point you need to learn how to be the hunted, because when you've got teams chasing you, that's by definition what you are. So Derek Lalonde has not done a great job, at least during this stretch as well.
Yeah, I'm not calling for his job, but I think a lot of the blame should be put on him. We learned how valuable Dylan Larkin is to this team, and how poorly they played when he was out. But he shouldn't be that. He shouldn't impact such a drastic change in how good they were playing to how bad they were playing. That your coach needs to step up in those moments, in whatever he's got to do to make sure that this team plays that same brand of hockey. I see people in the chat talking they aren't as physical. They haven't been playing as physical. They've been looking almost a little bit lazy out there, a little bit tired. I know it's the end of the season, but that's where a coach has got to figure out, whether it's with their practice schedule or pregame speech, whatever it is. Sometimes I feel like we get a completely different team each period. Like, we don't know what's coming out of that locker room. We've talked about it a lot with the Lions coming out in the third quarter. This team, it's very bipolar what team we get in the first, second, and third. We need that consistency, and I'm worried, especially with this schedule coming up. I don't even know if they can backdoor into the playoffs. They're going to need to play their best hockey of the entire season to beat these teams and earn a wild card spot versus playing 500 hockey and waiting for someone else to fail.
I mean, and that's the thing. There's still chance for them to turn it around. It's very disappointing that we had to be talking about last night as a must-win, or at the absolute minimum must-point, which they did for the record, but you would have really liked to come out of there with a win, because they were in. This was supposed to be a stretch where you were having this really difficult 5-game road stretch, but you were supposed to build up a cushion to where you could withstand maybe a road stretch where you only came away with 4 or 5 points. And hell, when they really need them, it doesn't look like they're going to even come away with that. They'll be lucky to win 1 of these games. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic. It's just you're going up against 4 of the best teams in the East in 4 consecutive games. One of them is at home, of course, against the New York Rangers, but that's the best team in the NHL. That's hard. You might lose all of these games and you wouldn't even think anything of it, because they're going to be underdogs in all of them. And by then, you're out. You're done.
And it's like that cushion that they had built up earlier. And as we saw them lose a couple and then win, we were like, you know what? Well, they've given themselves a little bit of this cushion. Now, all of a sudden, not only has that evaporated, but the wild card, it's a battle right now. It's not like in the NBA playoffs where you got like a bunch of teams at the bottom, and then maybe one other team, if you're in the 8th through 10th spot, one other team to have to battle with. This is a situation where you see guys that are kind of outside that wild card, as well as the teams in the wild card, who the Red Wings are going to have to battle with. And right now, when they do play these teams, they're not necessarily faring the best. And it would be even different if those were the teams they were battling, but now they're going to have to go through a stretch where, like you stated, underdog. When before, when they were the underdog, and you said it right, I think this was such a great point. They were playing scrappier, and they were able to sneak up and probably catch a couple teams that were slipping. Now, all of a sudden that you've gotten the league's attention, now all of a sudden that you went firmly from that number 2 spot up to at one point, they were 2 points away from being in the 6th position in the playoffs, moving out of the wild card. Then all of a sudden, everybody's eyes opened up. You got a goalie who was playing hot in Alex Lyon. You had a team that realistically was skating all over the place. In my opinion, watch some of the games, outskating people. The game we were at, they were absolutely all over that ice. You had a Patrick Kane who was absolutely hot. You had a DeBrincat who was still where he is now versus where he was then, versus where we first signed him. It's kind of been this slow kind of degradation to his game throughout the year. I feel like they still have, obviously, the recipe to be able to pull something together. But when you talk about an uphill battle, this is about as much as it gets.
Well, and you mentioned Alex DeBrincat because I think amongst some, he's almost skating off scot-free, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When you play this poorly, when your 1C, who you share a line with, is out, I think that gives some credence to maybe you're not a star, certainly not a superstar, because when Dylan Larkin went out, what did we talk about? Obviously they're going to have to get someone to play center on line 1, and they started off with a Joe Valeno, but you've got wings like Patrick Kane, you've got Lucas Raymond, you've got Alex DeBrincat, and for the record, I got to give credit to Patrick Kane. He's mostly played okay during this stretch, and Lucas Raymond had a 5-game stretch in which he had 7 goals, which is phenomenal, by the way. But doesn't that lead even more to like, Alex DeBrincat, what the F are you doing? We were sold a 40-goal guy, and then you give us 13 games with 1 in a stretch in which you go 3-9-1.
That's not good.
So to me, the offense is probably what I'm upset about the most because we know that they're good. The defense we know isn't great, although it can't be as bad as it has been. But the offense being one of the worst offenses in hockey over a 13-game stretch, that's something that, with or without Dylan Larkin, is just wholly unacceptable considering the talent and the depth that you already have. They've got 12 guys not named Dylan Larkin who've had 10 or more goals this season.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We
need higher levels of play.
We do.
Mr. DeBrincat.
And and I want to save this more for later on in the year if the Red Wings actually do blow it, because there's a lot of what I said today that can be basically all made moot if they can go on a stretch and make the playoffs. But Steve Yzerman's not going to skate scot-free either. I know there's some people on the 11-1 show who will let him skate scot-free, but he shouldn't. I'll just say that.
We'll Talk see. About it. Talk
you know
about
what?
It.
So you're telling me we're getting fireworks either way. Either the Red Wings are in the playoffs or Sam is going to have probably one of his most epic rants.
I'll tell you what, and you guys all know this is true. All of you in the chat who are going to get mad at me. I'll just give you a little preview, which I hope I don't have to do because I hope they can turn it around. When the Red Wings were playing well, it was just every show, everyone in the chat, even on this show, on Big D Energy, on Armani Edwards, and Heavyweights, it was just like Steve Yzerman, best GM ever. Oh my God, look at all these players that he acquired. So if they don't make the playoffs, you can't just say like none of it's Steve Yzerman's fault. You can't give him all of the credit and none of the blame. And I'm not saying if they don't make the playoffs, Steve Yzerman should be fired. It's just 5 years, no playoffs. What excuse is there going to be next? I know some people are just like, oh, it's not really year 5, it's year 3 because of all of the contracts that he had to get rid of, which is fair. I mean, I don't think it being year 3 is fair, but I think what he did to clean up the books was it was brilliant. However, what are we going to say next year? Because of the patch, it actually is still year 3 again, even though it's year 6. Because Dylan Larkin was hurt, it's actually still year 3, even though it's year 6. You got to make the playoffs, especially given the fact that you put yourself in a situation where not making the playoffs would require an epic collapse, which is happening right now. It's just it's not good enough. It's such an array of emotions because I was one of those people who was kind of on my high horse being like, we go into the playoffs, let's go. You can't call me a jinx, though, because all of you were doing it. You were doing it, Broder. Kool-Aid, you were doing it. Neil Rule was doing it. D-Mac, KG, we were all doing it.
Broder's looking like,
we were all doing this. We were all basically just penciling them in as a playoff team at some point. So I'm not a jinx or anything. Come on.
Oh, my goodness, man. Oh, my goodness.
It's the trash patch, man. Come on. We know what it is, man. We know what it is.
What a crazy turn of events since they put that patch on their jersey. I keep trying to think to myself, has there been anything else in Detroit sports history that has been associated with such a downturn more so than that priority patch, man.
But I don't want to hear it too much because you can't just say, oh, it's the patch. And I understand I'm a very superstitious guy, but if you use the patch to basically skirt blame from the players, the coaching staff, and Steve Yzerman, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
But can they get some blame?
Well, like I said, I'm a superstitious guy. Right. I just
you put Meyer on the jersey, they're winning right now. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Myers with the invisible S, man. Put that on the jersey right now. But let's get into this next segment because we got some Detroit Lions to talk about. We also got Rod Beard joining the show as well to give us the Detroit news, kind of state of Detroit sports. But first, man, tell us about something that's a little bit higher than the Red Wings right now.
Yeah, something that a lot of us Red Wings fans might need. Visit Dispo Dispenser today for exclusive new deals and experience a team that curates an unbelievable atmosphere, mixed with fresh inventory from Michigan's largest variety of products. Save the date for 420 at Dispo Dispensary. Dispo is putting on epic events at all locations. Stay tuned for more details. Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Hello? Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Shake Shack and Woodward Sports want to remind you it's always football season. How would you like to win 2 free tickets to this season's home opener? It's the Shake Shack QB Challenge. If you can throw it on a rope, you could be at the home opener. Register today for your chance to win at any Shake Shack location at woodwardsports.com or scan the QR code right here.
Hey.
Get it.
What up, though, people? Welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. We got a packed show today, and we got to get into the Detroit Lions, a team that is definitely on a different trajectory than a lot of the other sports teams here. Hopefully the Tigers can pick up some hopes here. Hopefully we need playoffs, some type of playoffs in LCA, something. Playoffs. That arena, like I'm sitting here trying to rack my brain. It hasn't seen playoffs.
It hasn't.
Wait, was it the Milwaukee series? Was that in LCA?
Oh, you're right.
It was a 4-game series.
Yeah. Throw that out of here.
Yeah, that was.
Throw that away. Throw that away. But that doesn't even count. But yeah, it hasn't seen a playoff win. Then we can definitely say that.
No, it hasn't.
But the Detroit Lions, and I want to defer to you, Mr. Matthew Broder, our credentialed Detroit Lions beat writer and reporter. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell had to say that slow. They had some things to say, man, and I think it got Lions-verse fired up, man.
Yeah,
One pride.
I was really excited to see some of the comments coming out of their press conferences, and Rod Wood too. But I want to show you a clip here real quick, the first clip about Dan Campbell. He was watching film on the 49ers and had some thoughts about that game and his team moving forward. I want to preface this I'm so glad he said this because I feel, or at least for me, this is directed at all the people in the first couple hours, first couple days of free agency that said everyone was passing the Lions, that like the Lions were just going to stay put and not improve. before signing other free agents. This is what this clip speaks to me. JB, if you could roll it, let's do it.
And I tell you what you realize when you really watch it and you just give us general thoughts is, man, those San Francisco willed that to happen. They had players that, man, they in critical moments, that quarterback made big plays. McCaffrey made big plays, made a big catch. Ayuk made a big catch, 15 over the middle for a first down. And they willed those things to happen. And that's the next step for us. And so I think we've got to put a tremendous amount of stress on our players before the season gets here, starting in OTAs, but then certainly in training camp, a lot more than we have, and just mold them and shape them and get them there. But that experience that'll play well to us. Because look, you're either going to get better from it or you'll just get worse because you're broken. And we're not going to break. We're just not. So we got two good guys, and so it's exciting.
Leader of men, we're not going to break.
We're either going to get better or we're going to break. And we're not going to break. Like, that's exactly what you want to hear from your coach, from your head coach, especially after a game like that. This team, like we said, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, Hutch, they're going to get better. Like, this is just the beginning. They're entering their prime. I don't think they've even scratched the surface. So this team's going to get better. You got a coach like that who's going to use this experience, use this fuel to improve. Let's go.
No, look, bro, everything they were saying, you want to talk about people who are very confident in everything they've done and everything they're doing and everything that they're about to do. It's the Detroit Lions. And all they've given us, honestly, is a track record to believe in, a track record that we can absolutely have faith and have trust in. To hear them talk, it's with the same swagger that Dan Campbell had day one when he took the job. And all they've done is continue to win year after year after year. They improved the record. They brought in better players. We've seen the draft picks become like substantial pieces of what they're doing right now. And now that you see them going out there and absolutely doing work in this free agency, it's making me that much more excited for what they're going to do, not just in the draft, but the season ahead. I love that their confidence is unshaken, despite what we saw happen in that 49ers series.
Well, I mean, in the Lions, they have gotten better. You've seen their free agency class. I think we would all agree as Lions fans we're happy with it. And, the young draft picks are going to get better. As you mentioned, Aiden Hutchinson, even Amon-Ra, Brian Branch, to Penei Sewell, to name a few. Although Penei Sewell being even better, good luck to defensive ends all across the NFL. But the reason I'm mentioning that is because even in that NFC Championship game, you can look at it as a major missed opportunity, which I do for the record. But you can also look at it as if you just clean up some of those plays, you're probably in the Super Bowl. Like if Josh Reynolds catches that one pass, they're probably in the Super Bowl. If Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't fumble, they're probably in the Super Bowl. They were as good as any team in the NFL, at least on like a game-to-game basis. They could have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not saying that they necessarily would have, but they could have beaten the San Francisco 49ers.
That means a lot coming from you still,
and they could have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. So if they've only gotten better, and there's some things that they're going to work on and they can clean up, their Super Bowl window is now.
You know what, man? Yeah. And something that you said is very, very vital and key there. You can't just brush off the San Francisco 49ers loss. You can't just say, you know what, we had this good season, let's just brush it off. Yeah. And you know what? The Detroit Lions aren't brushing it off either. Nope. That's the one thing that Dan Campbell said after the game was, hey, guys, it is tough to get back to this point. Mm-hmm. But what he's continued to drive the second half of that statement is, though, we're going to get back. Why? Because we're going to do everything in our power. That's what he's continued to say. That's been the message from this organization. When we saw the Rams go after and chase their Super Bowl, they did everything they could. They made every move that they could to ensure that this team was going to have what they needed to be able to make that run. And to not just hear the rhetoric anymore, but to start to see the moves, it's like, you know what? This organization is real. And it's so different for us. I don't know the last time we've seen an organization in Detroit sports operating like this, where you can not just have the hype of the young talent, not just the hype of the free agents, but actually seeing this thing work out for them. Like actually seeing the win.
Eduardo O'Neill says in the chat, a young team will make mistakes against a veteran team. And we got to remember, that was a young team. We had rookies that were starters. Mm-hmm. In another clip in this press conference, Dan Campbell talks about going into the season. He's energized now. And the difference in what these draft picks will mean, this upcoming draft, will mean to the team. Things have changed. JB, if you could roll that, my guy.
But yeah, I am energized because I know what we're capable of doing, because I know the type of coaches and players that we've got. And we've only added to that. And Brad's going to only continue to add to that through this draft. And I mean, look, that's what's exciting, too. There's a chance we draft a lot of guys who don't come in and start, but they're quality players. And all they've done is raise the floor, man. The competition goes up. I mentioned this to Dan yesterday. The competition goes up because they're trying to take these starting jobs. These veterans only get better, and they really push the ceiling, you know. So it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah, so they might get, you know, hypothetically 4 new starters, 4 new Brian Branches, Gibbs, Laporta.
Talk to me dirty.
Branch. Did I say Branch already? Who am I
missing? It doesn't even matter.
Jack Campbell. But those are now going to be their depth. They got veterans all over the place now. They got the rookies from last year. They got experience. So you talk about raising the floor. It's not lowering the talent. You're raising the floor.
I love it.
That means so much to this team. Man, it's going to be fun.
You know what? I want to be able to talk to Rod about this as well. Rod Beard, sports editor-in-chief from the Detroit News. I want to be able to kind of play. I know we have one more clip, a couple more clips. Be able to get his. Yeah, I want to be able to get kind of his feel. What's around the Detroit News? How are they feeling about this as well? Their reactions. But first, let me tell you all about Guardian Alarm. It's a new year, and let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Man, our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. It's 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. It's technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work, and people have been proven to care. If you have any doubts in the Detroit Lions, call 1-800-STAY-OUT. Once again, 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Big Boy Seafood Fest is sailing in with a fresh catch of favorites. Dive into fish and chips, our new palm-crusted cod, perfectly fried clam shrimp platter, or a delicious fish sandwich. Try our new mango iced tea, the ultimate complement to our popcorn shrimp, our all-new fried pickles, shrimp alfredo, or shrimp stir-fry. Experience all the sea has to offer every Friday night with our all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. Every day is a fish fry, only at Big Boy.
Congratulations to the real coach of the year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
Buying your first Feldman Chevrolet is much more than buying the car that will get you from point A to point B. It's a place for first memories, some big, some small. As she grows, you're not just buying her a Chevy, you're buying into a Feldman family. With more than 700,000 vehicles sold, from generation to generation, Feldman just keeps rolling.
The new Glorious Ice Water Bubble Hash Pre-Roll now has diamonds in it, everybody. They are constantly pushing to create the best cannabis experience just for you. The perfect boost comes from their added touch of pure THC diamond dust, allowing flowers with only the highest terps, making the best better. Glorious Cannabis, check them out at your local retailer, or always check them out online at gloriouscanna.com.
Glorious. What up, though, people? It is Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for kicking off your morning and your day with us. I hope you guys also make sure you tap in to the other shows, Big D Energy, Armani and Edwards with Mass, and the Heavyweights. Shout out to shout out to Easy as well, Spencer's co-host, who's in the chat, repping the Heavyweights as well, but making sure to support the boys. Thank you, brother. And chat family, as always, you guys are a very important part of the show. Hit that like button, and if you already have, encourage somebody else to do the same. We have Mr. Detroit News Rod Beard here for the Detroit News segment on Detroit Sports. How you doing this morning, brother?
Gentlemen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Doing well. Doing well. Hey, look, man, we're over here pumped up right now about the Detroit Lions. We played a clip before we went to break. I was gonna have Broder kind of tee it up a little bit more because he is our credentialed Detroit Lions beat writer and reporter. He kind of has a pulse on this stuff.
Do you want to talk about the clip that we just played or the next one?
We'll tee up the one we just played, and then we'll get to another one.
Okay, yeah. So Rod, we played a clip of Dan Campbell down in Florida at the NFL the annual meetings, annual NFL meetings, and Dan Campbell was talking about this next wave of draft picks, this next wave of people they bring in, is just raising the floor of this Lions team. They might be as talented as some of the guys they've drafted in the last 2 years, but they're now coming in to a much stronger team, a much more veteran team, and they're going to be the depth. That's something I imagine Detroit hasn't experienced in a while. Does that excite you, or what does that tell you about this team, this organization?
It says that they're doing it right. And this is what you always want in your organization, is for your draft picks to not be, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that you don't need them to come in and start. You don't need them to come in and play key roles and to be your number one guy. When I don't think very many people thought Brian Branch would come in and be the type of player that he was. Even Campbell, the same sort of way, we thought, okay, he'll come in, but he doesn't have to be the guy. And so the more you can do that, the more you can build your depth. And I think that's another sign that things are going in the right direction. When you're drafting with that in mind, you don't have to draft for need. You can draft for, okay, we don't need another receiver. Jameson Williams wasn't we need another receiver. It's, if this thing pans out, we got something really, really good. And I think that shows sort of where Brad Holmes is also, and his mindset is that some of this stuff we can fix in free agency, some of this stuff we can fix through the draft, but time is going to be the biggest aid in all of this.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, what is the pulse around the Detroit news as it relates to the Detroit Lions and what they're doing right now, and kind of all the different sound bits that they're hearing from Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell?
Well, I think one of the keys that I saw was when Holmes was talking about we got our A plan together. This was plan A for what we wanted to do in going out, and even getting Kevin Zeitler was a response to we will try to get both, but Jonah Jackson's gone. We can't afford $17 million a year with 30 plus guaranteed. Now let's go out and figure out what else we can do. And Kevin Zeitler was a guy they identified and said, hey, maybe this is a guy who can step in and if you lose a Pro Bowler, what's the best way to replace him? With another Pro Bowler. So that was the plan. They were able to execute that. But I think part of this too is when you're going out of free agency like that, you have to have a level of success that makes a Pro Bowler want to come and play for you. And when you're looking at playing between Ragnow and Penei Sewell, that's something that a Pro Bowler would want to do. Hey, I'm anchoring this right side of the line. So this makes sense for me to come here. So that success is going to breed other success, and it makes free agency a lot more easy for you to execute your plan and what you want to do there.
Yeah, if I was a free agent and I had the option to play between Frank Ragnow and Penei Sewell, I'm choosing that all day long. But Dan Campbell also, and I'm hoping you're going to be able to hear this clip. We're going to play one. Dan Campbell talking about the Bears and this division. It's elevating right now. And there's a certain player he's excited isn't in the division anymore. JB, if you could roll that clip.
Do you allow yourself to take notice of what a team like the Bears have done this offseason with the number one pick coming up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I pay attention to the division, especially this time of year, And look, I know this. The Bears, I told everybody going into last year, I'm like, the Bears are going to be an issue. They're a good team. And, so I think Coach Eberflus does a great job over there. Defensive-minded coach. That defense is stiff. They're stout. They play hard. And offensively, man, they got weapons. They got an offensive line. And we'll see what they do at quarterback. But I'm not going to lie, it's nice to have Fields out of that division. But yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of respect for what they're doing over there. So they got a number of picks. They're going to be loaded, ready to go. And I see what Green Bay's doing. So I think this division is about to get significantly better than what it's been. And I would argue it was better last year than people realize. We were they're one play away from Green Bay and us playing in the NFC championship game. So I think this division is about to become very difficult. And that's good. That's good, man. That's how you want it.
So, Rod, when you hear Dan Campbell say all of that, especially about the Chicago Bears, how are you feeling? Are you worried about any of the other teams in the NFC North, like the Bears and the Packers and even the Vikings, who have all presumably made moves with the draft not even happening yet to make their respective teams better as well?
I like this point about the Bears and their defense. The question, though, is at quarterback, and there's no position that you want less to have concerns about than at quarterback. With Justin Fields, you kind of knew what you had. It was just what you were going to get on a game-to-game basis. And now when you're trying to figure out, hey, what are we going to do quarterback wise? How does that transition work out? That's not a given. That doesn't just snap into place. But to his point, again, the defense will set things straight for you, and they'll give you some time for your quarterback to figure things out.
Yep. Yeah. You know what? It's interesting, too, that he continued to make sure that the reporters knew and that we would know that their eye is keenly on what's going on in this division. I like that he did point out the fact that Green Bay was right there, maybe a play away from meeting in the NFC Championship game. And I think it is keen for them to not just focus on what they're doing, but make sure that they're staying ahead of the curve. And you can only do that by paying attention to what's going on in your division. I know something that was really big for them last year. There was two things that Dan Campbell continued to talk about: win your division, also win the quarters. Every quarter of the season, make sure that you're ahead. And so to know that his kind of eye and his pulse is on those types of things, it definitely makes me very optimistic about what the Detroit Lions can be, even though the division is perceivably taking some steps forward. Definitely. Broder, do you want to get to that last clip as well?
Oh, yeah, it's the last one. Just Brad Holmes. This is the one we have about Brad Holmes and what he's thought about this free agency haul so far.
I truly believe this was our best free agency haul that we've had since we've been here. And the reason why I say that is, through our planning and process this year, we have these number one targets, and we literally were able to get every single one of our number one targets that we were out to get. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it's like you might strike out on one, you got to go to plan B, or you got to go to plan C. No, we were actually able to land plan A. And even at the corner position, we didn't know if we're going to be able to do both with, doing the Carlton Davis trade and getting Amik Robertson. I thought we were just going to have to be able to pick one or the other, but the way it worked out, just to be able to land both was huge. So that's why I think that to this day, this is our best free agency haul.
Rod, you gotta love it hearing it from the man himself, Brad Holmes. So, Rod, how much did the Detroit Lions improve with their free agent signings?
That's a great question.
Remains to be seen, but the fact that they went out and they attacked the cornerback position, attacked it, went and made a trade for Carlton Davis, and that may end up being the biggest move that they made. In that, what they talked about also was Carlton Davis can shut down one half of the field. And not necessarily that he's a shutdown corner, but they said when they played Tampa Bay last year, they didn't want to throw to that side that he was on. So his ability to come up and run support, his coverage ability, that even if he makes you not throw sometimes there, it allows you, and they talked about this, it allows Aaron Glenn to make specific calls and say, hey, you know what? We're going man. We don't have to play zone right here. There's not this soft shell zone that we're going to play. We're playing man because Davis has his man on lock. And so it enables the defensive coordinator to call certain plays, to feel very comfortable about whether that pressure is going to get there, because you know what? That corner has that receiver and he has enough time to let that pressure get to the quarterback a little bit quicker. Those are things that are going to pay huge dividends. And even within that, with Amik Robertson, it was after they had gotten Davis, they thought they weren't going to be able, and he mentioned that, they weren't going to be able to get Robertson too. And Robertson's like, bro, are we going to do this or what? So they went in, and I was heartened to see that they attacked the position and went after not their one guy, but went after another guy. And they may still go after another corner for depth in the draft too. That shows the aggressiveness. That shows that they're not sort of satisfied with where they are, and that they want to be that much better on defense, especially at their weakest position. And what we saw in the playoffs, that if they had Carlton Davis last year, do they win that game against the 49ers? Yeah, they do. They do. Ooh. And they're in the Super Bowl. And who knows what they do at that point in the Super Bowl, because did Kansas City look unbeatable in the Super Bowl? No. So I like what they've done this offseason already. We haven't even done the draft yet. We're talking about adding young guys in depth. If they can make some moves, if they can add other impact players without having to, you don't have to trade up. There's nothing that says you need to go get this position. But if they can do that, I think they'll really, really bolster their likelihood to get back to the NFC Championship and beyond for next year.
Hey, Rod. I'm glad you brought up the defense because I wanted to ask, do you think AG, as presently constructed, do you think AG has enough on this defense to improve them to maybe a top 15 ranking? And is this a make or break year, in your opinion, for AG in the defense?
I think this is a big year to watch. I think I would like to see them still get a D end, a rush D end to kind of complement the other things that they have. And there's always a conversation about your corners are pressed because your D line doesn't get enough pressure. Well, your D line is pressured because your corners can't cover long enough. And so how does that stress your defense on both levels of that? So that's going to be the key, is not necessarily how they're constructed. It is what improvement they make. And Brandon, we always talk about this from year to year. What's the internal improvement that these guys got a little bit better? We saw that from Aiden Hutchinson. Now can Jack Campbell make a jump? Can Brian Branch make a jump? Can some of these younger guys make some type of jump? With the Cam Sutton situation, now you have a different configuration of your corners in your secondary. How do those guys gel? Do they figure it out? What do you do with the safety position? Maybe that's another need that you go in the draft and get some more depth. As constructed, I think they'll be fine. What's the improvement that these guys make without bringing in anybody else? That's the big question.
Ooh. Yo, this is heat, this segment, man. We got one more segment with the legend on the way. A lot more Lions talk on the way. Some Pistons talk. Rod, man, you know what? We'll get into it. First, we need a message from Big Boy.
Yes, Seafood Fest is back at Big Boy. Catch it while you can. Dive into fish and chips, their new Parmesan crusted cod, perfectly fried clam strip platter, or a delicious fish sandwich.
Delicious.
A Big Boy must try the new mango iced tea, the ultimate complement to their popcorn shrimp, shrimp Alfredo, or shrimp stir fry. Every day is a fish fry at Big Boy, and don't forget every Friday night the all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. Delicious.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions, featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Football season is officially over, and spring training is right around the corner. However, Jack Labrador's 24/7, 365 days a year. Learn how to play now on your phone at jacklabrador.gg. 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing 3-point play. And remember that once you go Jack, you never go back. Go to jacklabrador.gg.
What up, though, people? Welcome back to Wake Up Woodward, and thank you guys for kicking off your morning with the crew. We got the whole starting 5 here, and today we got Rod Beard as the 6th man. Detroit News sports editor-in-chief. And you guys already know what time it is. Let's cue up that drum roll. You guys gonna help me today? Let's go. Hey, yo! Shout out to the legend, Detroit News, Rod Beard. And I'll ask you again, brother, how are you doing this morning? I got to get Rod's thoughts.
It is a wonderful Wednesday morning. I wish it was 80 degrees. It is not 80 degrees. Somewhere it is 80 degrees, just not here. This Piston season, man, this is...
Sheesh.
I've never seen a football team that was losing in the fourth quarter, no matter how many points they're losing by. I've never seen them take a knee. It just feels like Pistons fans want to take a knee on this season. Like, there's nothing that you want to see. Like, hey, we need some more Cade and Durham minutes. I mean, sure, but that could happen anytime. it's almost like you just want to shut this whole season down with these couple of weeks left, and just like, what do you want to see? What is there to say? Hey, I need more Fontecchio and Jaden Ivey minutes. I don't know. I don't know what people want to see. I don't know what there is to show and to gain from the rest of this season. And we always talk about, well, a couple more wins or gaining a winning mentality. I just don't have the stomach for it. It's just, it's tough. It's a really, really tough watch from game to game, just knowing that they're a little bit undermanned, and injuries are playing a part of that too. But just for what's left and for these couple of games, and it's been that way the past few seasons with all the injuries and everything else, just like, I don't know where the excitement is. It's not even, and we've talked about this, it's not even, hey, they might get the number 1 pick in the lottery. So then what? What happens at that point?
Yeah, seriously.
It's not, I don't know. And this is what Troy Weaver's going to have to figure out, is how to inject something in this and get spend that free agency money, use that draft pick wisely, assuming it's a top 3. Just kind of how do you resuscitate this fan base and make them care more about what's going on right now? It's just really, really tough.
You know what, man? I think that you embody right now a lot of what Detroit Pistons fans feel in general. And I wrote an article, and it's a little bit different tone. Like, the tone of the articles as the season has gone on has gotten a lot more critical, a lot more looking toward not necessarily the far future, because we're not at the beginning of this restore or rebuild or whatever they want to call it. This team is doing exactly what we stated in the beginning of the season we didn't want to see them do. We knew that they weren't going to have a winning season. But to have your veterans injured, to have your young players injured, and to be ending the season with G Leaguers, rather than being able to build up some type of, we know you don't really carry momentum from season to season, but being able to have something that you can hang your hat on. They put out there, and we covered this with the Monty Williams clip off of a question I was able to ask them in practice, what were your goals in the season? And they said, run through the tape. This looks like anything but it. When you talk about taking a knee, like, hey, you know what? We're down 20 points. We're just going to take a knee with 10 minutes left. Let's just forfeit. That's not anything that people want to see. I feel so bad for the season ticket holders. I feel so bad for them. There's a bevy of them that sit around us in that Section 104 media, and to be able to get to know some of them. Shout out to Christian Smith. I told him I would shout him out, man. To try to get to know some of these people and know why they're doing this. They hang on to a little bit of hope, but even those diehards are getting to the point now where they're like, you know what? Enough is enough. And they're like me now. No more project players. This is where I'm at now. No more young players as it relates to your actual core of winning. No more going another offseason without adding something to it. At this point in time, it's a fair question to ask, does Troy Weaver deserve to be here this summer? The only reason why I'm even saying, you know what, get it done this summer, Troy Weaver, or else, at least as it relates to my book, is because I just believe he's going to be the guy that's going to be able to kind of pull the trigger as it relates to the deals happening this offseason. But with that type of cap space, with the draft capital, with the young assets, it is time now for this team to do something substantial for their supporters and for their fans. It's not just kind of this 4 years that Troy Weaver has been at it. And we talked about this, you know, between the Red Wings and the Detroit Pistons. The Red Wings have been rebuilding for a little bit longer, at least under Steve Yzerman. But the Detroit Pistons, if you go beyond just the Troy Weaver era, this thing has been mired in mediocrity to the worst basketball we've ever seen played in the Detroit Pistons history since Tom Gores has taken over. It is time for them to put an end to this. We've seen them in years past be able to go and knock on the door of like the 9th and the 8th seed by going and making some mid free agency picks. Out of this young core, do I believe this young core can work? I do. But I do believe that after assessing for this season, that there's some changes and some hard decisions have to be made about who gets a starting position, who's actually going to be here next year. Right now, the only safe person in my eyes is Cade Parker Cunningham, and that is it. Beyond that, I don't know who's safe. You got to go and get NBA talent on this roster. You got to go out there and get some players. We used at the trade deadline and such, we scoffed at names like Tobias Harris. Some people scoffed at names like Zach LaVine. Some people scoff at names like DeMar DeRozan. At this point in time, bring in any of those guys. Bring in multiple of those players, because this Detroit Pistons team is void It is absolutely void of NBA talent that can compete on any level right now. Do they have some hopefuls? Yes, of course, there's going to be some hope in the type of player that Ivy can be, in the type of player that Duran can be, in the type of player that Asar can be. But at this point in time, I don't think that it's fair for them to not just waste the season ticket holders' time, but I don't think it's fair for them to waste Cade Cunningham's time either. Rod, I've been heated about this. I wrote an article about what they can do. It is up on woodwardsports.com in terms of what the free agency looks like, which players might be disgruntled on the trade market, as well as what they might need to do during the draft. Some of the players that I actually like the most this offseason, they actually play Jalen Duran's position, but they have better defensive ratings. They play with a little bit different tenacity. Nick Claxton is the guy you guys have kind of heard me talk about as well. I really like him. I really like what he brings to the table as it relates to rim protection. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because we haven't seen any identity, any semblance of an identity of what we've liked about past Detroit Pistons teams. I will give them this. They had some decent stretches. They improved their defensive efficiency, and now they've kind of turned this thing over to this, hey, let's let the G Leaguers finish this out. I got questions about if Isaiah Stewart now is super injury prone, probably the most injury prone player on the squad right now. And I have questions about the tenacity that Jalen Duran plays in the middle of the paint. Every good Pistons team has had the identity of not just defense, but defense starting from the inside out. And it just seems to be so lacking, man. My hat honestly goes off to all of the people that still support and that still watch this thing. Rod, is there anything that you see as it relates to this offseason ahead that even kind of gets your ears perked up about whether this team can head in the future?
Man, you are heated today. That's a word. just dropped the whole word. I will say this. And while you were talking, it kind of stoked a thought. How many minutes would you guess that you've had what you would probably call the A combination of Cade, Ivy, Asar, Stewart, and Duran?
I would happen to believe not too much. Not as much as we would like to see. Definitely when you factor in some of the injuries.
145 minutes.
Ooh.
And that is the highest combination of any of their five-man combos, five-man lineups. 145 minutes. Offensive rating 110.4, defensive rating 118.1. Net rating negative 7.7. If that's the best lineup you're going to put out there, they can't score. And this is a small sample size, because I would say if 145 minutes is not enough to really judge. It might be, but it's the highest one that's there. You can't do much with that. That's telling you what you have. And if that's not the best lineup, that's one of the best lineups. And the next one is Cade, Ivy, Duran, Fontecchio, and Asar. That's 113 minutes. And that's a plus 3.8 net rating.
Wait. That lineup with as new as Simone Fontecchio is got 113 minutes compared to the supposed core five only getting 145?
Crazy.
That's
145. Crazy. Because so many more of these lineups have Bogey or Killian or
expensive things.
I mean, hey, I'm just saying what I see. I just read the names that are on the screen. That's all I can do.
Man.
Oh goodness. KG, what up though, brother?
So and look at this one, because this might be the second one you would say.
Yeah.
Cade, Ivy, Bogey, Stewart, and Duran. How much? That was the best one to probably start the season. How many minutes did that group play? 40. Wow. They didn't even play a full game.
That's crazy.
What's the net rating on that group? Offensive rating 129.4, defensive rating 104.9, plus 24.5. That's your best performing group, and they played 40 minutes together. 40. That's insane.
That's insane.
That's saying That's insane because it means you didn't find this entire year a consistent group of people that your best group of people only played a sliver of time together, 40 minutes. That's less than a third of those two top performing, or not even two top performing, but the two highest volume lineups. And they have pretty much the same people. So you can't beat people with Cade, Ivy, Asar, Stewart, and Durant. You can't beat people because you're a -7-7. There's nothing you can do with that. You have to go out and get somebody else to fill at least one of those spots in that group. At least one.
Yeah.
And you can't stop anybody because your defensive rating is 118. That tells you everything you need to know about that group. They're good. They're just not good enough to get you through a season. And as much as you want to say, if people are saying Tobias isn't good enough or DeMar DeRozan isn't good enough, you know what they would increase? That offensive rating number. Absolutely would do it.
And DeMar's
by
been
far.
hooping.
Right, but you don't have. Cade can do only so much. So, and this is probably a deeper dive than we need to do. The days that Jaden Ivey has 20 plus points, how many of those games do they win? Because when Cade has a scorer next to him, he can just be Cade. And Cade isn't go and score 30. That's not being Cade. Being Cade is probably more like 20 and 8 assists. That's what you need. If you have Cade out there scoring and only scoring, you're defeating what his strengths are because he can't do the other things that you want him to do. If he scores 30, he's probably not distributing the ball. And if he's not rebounding, he's not involved in being the all-around sort of piece that you need, you're not getting the Cade you wanted in the draft. You're getting some lower version of that. He needs people around him where he can distribute and he can be an integral part of the offense beyond just scoring. And that's the trouble that they've had with that, is figuring out a way to get other pieces around him. And now I'm all in this 5-man lineup sort of thing. It's just this is crazy.
It's a harsh reality.
Crazy. Killian, Cade, Thompson, Stewart, Durant. 100 minutes. Offensive rating 101.8.
Ooh.
Defensive rating 112. That's a -10.
Wow.
You can't beat people. You can't beat people with that. That's asking a lot. That is asking a whole lot. If your offensive rating is in the ones, in the low ones, you can't do anything.
It's time. Beggars cannot be choosers. I do not care how people feel about Tobias Harris, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, who will be back on the trading block. I do not care. They got to bring in some people that can score the rock. They got to bring in some professional basketball players now.
Right, and some defense, because you need to lower that defensive number, but you absolutely have to raise the offensive number. And I'm gonna close that window because if I go back in there, I'm gonna get mad again and just look like are these real numbers? Is this math? Did y'all just make this up? But it shows what a lot of people would think is the best lineup they could put out on the floor. It just hasn't been effective. And that's discounting now. You can take all of these reserves. Well, they had to have Isaiah Stewart in there, and he wasn't, or not Isaiah Stewart, Isaiah Livers. Well, they had Killian in there. Well, you take some of those lineups out and just show me how these 5 guys performed when they were together in the time that they had. And that's all of the analysis that I need there is if you believe in advanced analytics like that, and you put a lot of belief in those numbers, that's all you need to see. There's no other explanation for that stuff. That is what it is at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, so kind of speaking to Cade and Ivy, I wanted to get your opinion on the future of these two. There's been mixed reaction online as to whether these guys can play together or not. At times, they look like an all-star backcourt, and there's also been times where one player looks better when the other player isn't playing. What do you think they need to improve on as a duo going forward? And do you think there's some things they can work on to make this fit, or do you think they ultimately will not be able to fit together?
I think the solution is the same thing we've talked about. They need an all-star caliber forward, period. Mm-hmm. All-star caliber forward. That will make Cade better. That will make Ivy better, because it essentially, because Bogey was injured for a bit, you needed one of them to be your best player. And I don't think they're at that point yet where they can go out and be your best scorer, your best player, and be consistent on a night-to-night basis, much less healthy on a night-to-night basis, but consistent on a night-to-night basis. That's tough. It's a tough ask for a guy who's in his second year and a guy who's in his third year. It's just no other team is really doing that. Even in Houston's situation, where now they're knocking on the door of the play-in, they went and got Fred this year and said, hey, Fred, can you be that guy? And you can carry that on some nights. And I think that's some of what we're seeing from Cade, and the frustration is on a night-to-night basis, he's got to carry that. It's not Bogey's not available enough. And Brandon, you were talking about some of the only player that's safe. I think that Jalen Anthony Duran is also safe. I think there's a lot that's there that he can be so much better, and you're just peeling back the layers of what is there and what's available for him. I think that combination with Cade has the foundation of being something. But again, you need somebody else. When you're coming down and you don't have Cade or Duran on the court, what are you running? Oh, we can get DeRozan on a little flare screen right here. He's got an elbow jumper that's going to fall. Those types of things you can't substitute. And when you're coming down, you make a call and you know what's coming and you can't do anything about it. That's the type of thing that they need. Just an automatic. Give me an automatic 2. And you know that play's called. They don't have that in the repertoire right now. And I think that's one of their biggest shortcomings is there's just no certainty on what you're going to get on any play down the court.
Man, that is the word right there. There is absolutely no certainty on what you're going to get from this squad. And that is it's not what you want to see out of a team that has realistically gone and stacked the deck with a bunch of players that were top 5 picks in this draft. And Jalen Duran, somebody that they had rated top 5 on their draft board, despite the fact they traded for him with the number 13th pick with the New York Knicks. But I do, I am hoping, at the exit interviews with Troy Weaver at the end of the season that we get a glimpse into what the strategy may be. Obviously, they're not going to put all their cards out on the table, but just to try and get a feel. I know one of the questions I'm going to ask is what direction is this thing moving in? Is it still the youth movement? Or are you looking now to go out there and grab some of those veterans who are not at the end of their careers, but guys that can step in right away and absolutely help to take the pressure off of this young talent? Because I do believe that Troy Weaver drafted well, but I don't believe that he set them up for success that well. So,
yeah, Rod, and that's what it looks like. Is there's another piece? You need some more pieces to it.
Yep. Yeah. I listen, man. I'm looking forward. The thing I'm looking forward to right now is those exit interviews, man. The rest of the season, we'll show up. We'll do what we have to do. We will cover the games professionally. But I'm looking forward to those exit interviews, man.
God bless you both.
Right. Doing the Lord's work.
Hey, look, man. I want the chat family as well. Make sure you guys are getting questions in there as well. I'll try my best to ask the ones that I feel like are of an appropriate and professional manner, but getting right to the heart of it as well. Thank you, Rod, for your time. As always, man, the legend, Detroit News, Rod Beard is what I call him. He is a sports editor-in-chief at the Detroit News, doing great work, not just professionally, but as a person as well. Thank you for your time, as always. Thank you for your mentorship. Thank you for the brotherhood, man. We appreciate you, Rod.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you,
thanks,
brother.
Rod.
Good news is having Rod Beard on, man.
That's
Bad
always good news.
Sometimes it's having to talk about how bad the Detroit Pistons are. It's almost as bad as the insurance rates going up across the board in the state of Michigan.
Never stopped.
Give me some good news, damn it.
It's the good news. The Pistons got cap space. Hopefully they spend it.
Oh, wow.
And not on a Joe Harris. Other good news is Swiss Insurance. I wish they could help the Pistons, but I do know that they're here to help you. Right now, it's more than ever, it's critical for you to have your insurance reviewed by Swiss Insurance. They will make sure that your current carrier is not slipping in any extra fees or raising the deductibles. Just call Mark at Swiss Insurance today or visit SwissINS.com, and tell them that Woodward Sports sent you.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Hey, you guys, are you tired of wearing that same old Detroit sports merch? Well, it is a new era in sports wearables with new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Look, go to woodwardsports.com, click on that shop tab. We are releasing new designs every single week. We got the Brad Holmes guy t-shirt. We got the Woodward Lions t-shirt as well. You know what? We might even start working on that We Won't Break t-shirt. Hopefully that'll be in the works coming soon as well too. But go to woodwardsports.com, click on the shop tab, get swagged out. Know the draft is coming.
What up, though, people? Welcome back, and thank you guys for supporting Wake Up Woodward. Chat family, as always, whether we agree, whether we disagree, you guys are a very, very important part of this show, and we're appreciative of you guys being here with the crew. We got the whole starting five here. Flannel Sam, our veteran of the squad. We got Detroit's #1 draft pick right here, Mr. KG in the sound booth. We got Woodward Sports' MVP, Mr. JB Smooth in the TD booth, and our credentialed Lions and Tigers beat writer and reporter, Mr. Matthew Broder. And it's your boy, Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, your credentialed Detroit Pistons beat writer and reporter. And you know what? Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to the fans. Y'all stuck through it with the Pistons segment. And for your reward, more Detroit Lions talk. Hey! And it's because I know that you guys care at the end of the day. People want to see the Pistons get back to the top of the mountain. But a team that right now is trying to make sure they carve their name into the top of the mountain, it's the Detroit Lions. It's the Detroit Lions. And we got to talk about some of the comments we heard from Brad and Dan if we want, as well as some of these NFL rule changes. And again, I defer to Mr. Matthew Broder.
Yeah, so when they're down in these annual meetings, they've started to announce some rule changes across the NFL, a few of which the Lions had their hand in the pot on. Also some that I believe are going to affect the Lions in a positive way. One of the ones that the Lions requested was the challenge rule, which is now changed to where if you get one of your two challenges, if the Lions or any NFL team get one of your two challenges correct, you'll get a third later in the game. In the past, you had to get both challenges correct to then regain a third. So that seems like common sense. I don't know why they didn't do that in the first place. We're going to kind of gloss over that one. But a big one coming out of the NFL, and I asked you guys how impactful this could be, is the hip drop rule, the hip drop tackle. This is a new one from the NFL. They claim this is injury prevention related. They say a hip drop tackle is when a player grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms and unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and or lower body, landing on and trapping the runner's legs at or below the knee. I read that for you because I'm already confused. That's a lot of words. That's a lot of mumbo jumbo. And we have referees having to make this decision at full speed. I don't know how this is going to work out. It's framed with injury prevention in mind, but we all know this is more offense in mind.
Yeah, my hope, and this is just a hope, is that it's not enforced as heavily as you might think, because we've all heard about some rule changes that you kind of think, oh my God, the sky is falling. And then when you actually watch the NFL during the season, it looks like the exact same product. However, my question is, and I'll use Sam Laporta as an example.
Yeah.
Because Mark Andrews got hurt this year due to a hip drop tackle. How are you supposed to tackle that man from behind? And I get it. If we don't want people tackling Sam Laporta from behind because you want him to we want him to score touchdowns and get yards. But across the NFL, like if you're beat, what are you supposed to do? Hope that you trip him? Yeah. Maybe try to get away with a hip drop tackle. I don't like this idea that it almost seems like they want every game to be 31-28 or something like that. I don't want defense legislated out of the NFL.
Right.
If it sounds like I'm being a little alarmist, maybe I am, but the hip drop tackle, I mean, I see people in the chat, and I kind of agree with this. It's just a tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, one of Aiden Hutchinson's sacks on Dak Prescott, I think even more than one was a hip drop tackle. Yeah. What are you supposed to do?
And that one on Mark Andrews, it was a big play almost near the end zone, right at the first down marker, where the tackler was trying to keep him from getting a first down in a huge team. I don't know what they're supposed to do. I know the defensive players all over the NFL are upset right now. Like some people in the chat are saying, this is heading towards flag football. Like, how do they tackle? And I don't think you're being a curmudgeon with this. I think the NFL needs to look at the NBA, no offense, Kool-Aid, of some of the downside to moving all offense. I'm not as excited in the NBA anymore. I love that 04 Pistons team because they play defense. They play team defense.
And what they do right after they won that championship based off of the defense that they played, they changed the rules. Yeah. What they do after the Bad Boys won, they changed those rules. And you're right. This current NBA product to me feels watered down. I'm hoping that the NFL is not heading in the same direction because to me, my main concern with some of these rule changes, especially this hip drop one, is how much is this going to affect the Detroit Lions and the level of aggressiveness that they play with? Sometimes when you look at some of these tight ends and wide receivers that are catching the ball through the middle of the field, how are you supposed to tackle them? Yeah. I just don't know. A lot of people believe that this is going to wind up causing a lot more of those types of hits that we saw Joseph Kirby lay out. A lot of people think that the NFL and the defense is going to head towards that. But then eventually you're going to have more people. Kirby Joseph.
I liked it. Joseph, Kirby. I heard. I was like, wait.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. What? It hit me too, right?
I dig it.
But it's like you're gonna have more people out there, I believe, that are gonna be laying down hits just like that, and I don't think that that's gonna help necessarily the whole injury aspect, the safety of the game, like they're trying to say.
Yeah, and Eduardo O'Neill, he makes a point in the chat, which could be it. Who knows how they're going to legislate or enforce this? Hutch didn't land on Dak's legs, so no flag. I mean, I hope that the refs in a split-second moment can make that type of judgment. Because, yes, like obviously that tackle wasn't a penalty on Aiden and shouldn't have been. But the Logan Wilson tackle on Mark Wilson, that was just an unfortunate part of the game. Obviously, you want to see Mark Andrews healthy and play all of the games. But do you want people to have to continually tackle like Kirby Joseph did to, was it Tyler Higbee and TJ Hawkinson? Those weren't flags either, but those were also dangerous plays going at someone's knees. I'm not saying Kirby was a dirty. I'm just saying he probably felt like that's the only way he can tackle a guy because if he goes high, it's a penalty.
That was his comments, and a couple other players as well from other teams also stated, what else is he supposed to do?
Yeah.
It wasn't a penalty.
Oh, go ahead.
No, and that's my point. Those weren't penalties. Even though they, Kirby Joseph took a couple of ACLs, neither of those were penalties. And oh, by the way, I hate to say this. Actually, I don't hate to say this at all, but like it sucks for a Tyler Higbee, but that hit on Tyler Higbee jarred the ball loose. If Higbee catches that ball and gets a first down, the Rams are probably at least able to kick a go-ahead field goal.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm sure guys like Kirby Joseph, and he said it, just wonder how you're supposed to play defense. I'm sure a lot of those guys who are in the NFL right now are saying, how are we supposed to play defense even more? And there's probably a lot of old heads, like even J.J. Watt, who is not an old head, but played quite a few years ago, said it's just going to start to be flag football now.
Yeah.
Might as well.
And a lot of defensive players think that it should be on the quarterback. Matthew Stafford needs to deliver that pass in an area, or not deliver that pass, but deliver it in a way that Tyler Higbee isn't vulnerable to hits like that. And Eric Allen makes a good point, and I meant to say that when I was reading the very confusing rule description, but he says the problem is that the hip drop tackle is a 15-yard personal foul and an automatic first down. Yeah. So it's
and a fine.
One of those things. That's a big turn of events when you talk about a split-second decision that a referee has to make.
In a first year where you're implementing this, and I guarantee you the NFL is setting themselves up for controversy because this is going to get called late in January in a playoff game with something on the line, and fans are going to be absolutely outraged. Now, I don't think this affects the Lions as much as it affects the whole NFL as a whole. From what I've read and what I've seen, the NFL was kind of trying to implement this rule to prevent teams from teaching the hip drop tackle, because I guess there were some teams that were kind of teaching the hip drop tackle. But like you said, if a Derrick Henry gets behind me, what am I supposed to do? like seriously, it's almost like if I miss the tackle, it's automatic touchdown. You might as well just let it go as that. But yeah, it's how are we? It's not as blatant as a horse collar tackle. I can see the horse collar being implemented because that's a very dangerous play. But the hip drop is kind of like that's just regular football. I mean, I've done hip drop. We've all, anybody that's played the sport has done a hip drop tackle at some point. So yeah, I just don't see how this is going to be good for the NFL as a whole.
I'm glad you made that distinction and brought up that point, KG, because you're right. When the horse collar tackle was taken out the game, I didn't necessarily see the game of football change. When you take out the hip drop tackle, I feel like we're going to see a change as it relates to the game of football. Yeah. What are you supposed to do?
If you get beat, it's over. Essentially, what am I supposed to do?
Yep. And I see people in the chat as well. They're also saying, I think Eduardo O'Neill is one of those in the chat saying this too. It will benefit the Lions on the offensive side of the ball as well. But where I want to see the Lions take that step forward, especially as it relates to what Dan Campbell is talking about and the mentality that they're trying to instill of biting kneecaps, this was all about a level of aggression that this team was going to bring. And not just how they play on the offensive side of the ball, but also on the defensive side of the ball. I think that it's important now. It's putting that much more kind of sizzle on the fact that they went and beefed up that defensive line as well, so they can just stop things as much as they can and attack at the point of attack, right in the trenches. I think that that's going to be huge for this Detroit Lions team this year.
Yeah. So as much as we say it could be a benefit for the Lions if, say, Sam Laporta gets past someone, how about if Jack Campbell has to tackle George Kittle from behind, for example? It's going to hurt and help pretty much all teams, not equally, but I don't like this idea of another tackle being said. You can't do that.
You can't hit them high. You can't hit them low.
Can't do nothing. Just two-hand touch them. Just touch them.
Alan W. asks as well, how are DBs supposed to tackle tight ends, especially smaller ones like Amik Robertson?
We'll see. We'll see how it actually looks when the season starts. I'm hoping, me personally, that we see some things happen in the preseason that maybe lead some people to believe, like, oh my goodness,
you're going to see a lot of it in preseason.
You're going to see a lot of it in preseason.
Whenever these rules get changed, we're going to see a lot of it to start the season.
Yeah.
This is where they're going to be throwing flags. They're going to be erring on the side of throwing the flag versus eating the whistle.
Oh, yeah, but there's another rule change that is taking effect this year, which is going to make certain plays look quite a bit different. Tell us about that, Broder.
The kickoff changes. Yeah. The kickoff changes. I don't think we have time to explain the whole rule. It's really complicated, but they're taking the XFL rule, the XFL kickoff rule, and now implementing it in the NFL. So you're going to have the kicking team start on the opponent's 40-yard line. The opponent's the kicker will be kicking from the same spot.
Yeah.
His team will be starting on the opponent's 40 with the opponent's 5 yards across from them at the 35. There are landing zones within the 20. There are rules about if you kick it into the end zone before hitting the landing zone, the ball starts on the 40. The player has to, if it enters a landing zone and they make an attempt to catch it, they have to return it. There are all different types of rules, but I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see kickoffs again. I want to see what it looks like in the NFL, but the goal of this is to limit injury while also bringing back what I always thought was one of the most exciting plays in a football game.
Talk about it, man.
Yeah, and so Dan Campbell, he talked a lot about this rule, but there was one part at the end of his clip where he talks about what it could mean for returners, and I'm excited to hear you guys' opinion on what the Lions might be doing with the kickoffs.
I'm excited.
Is it some opportunity? Yeah, I do. I do. I think, look, I think this gives you a chance. I think this really could bring the returner position back into play much more than it has in a long time. You already have it in the punt return unit, but I think there is a chance the kickoff returner, this could be a little bit more of, that guy can make the play more than it used to be that way, with where the rules have gone.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for what this kicking rule change can bring to the NFL. It's
you don't look
like
so excited when I tell you, what about putting J-Mo or Gibbs back there?
Yeah.
What about putting J-Mo or Gibbs back there?
Teams will be more incentivized to want to return the ball and maybe use some of their more athletic players to do so. From what I understand, if you miss the neutral zone, which is between the 40 and the end zone, if you miss it or it goes out of bounds, it's still you get the ball at the 40. If it hits, if you touch it back, you get it at the 30. But if it hits the neutral zone that then bounces into the end zone, you only get it at the 20. So that kind of incentivizes teams to want to return the football. And then with your blockers being 5 yards from the defenders, I mean, that gives you a chance to get a decent amount of yards. And if you break through that first barrier, you only got the kicker back there. So, yeah, I think a lot more teams, it is going to bring the kick return game back into play, because if you just let it hit and bounce, you only get it at the 20. So that's minus 10 yards. I don't think a lot of teams are going for that.
Yeah, it was basically done to bring the kickoff return back, because you saw in the previous however many years, which was done to prevent injury in the first place, they moved where the kicker was kicking the ball off of forward, so that most of them are just automatic touchbacks. I mean, you see in most games they just like kick the ball through the back of the end zone. So now you're going to be seeing some more kickoff returns. I mean, I don't know. I'm not. Maybe I'm a hater in some ways. I'm not super huge on yeah, right. Yeah. I'm not super.
It's better than fair catching every goddamn.
I don't
kick
really
return.
care about like the kickoff return game that much. I'm a little okay, and I'll get on my soapbox a little bit. I'm just a little upset that Devin Hester made it in the Hall of Fame. So that's why. That's why I'm a little sour on kickoff returners in general. So maybe that clouds my judgment a little bit. I just think it looks a little bit gimmicky, but it is going to bring an element back into the game. And if you want to put J-Mo and Gibbs back there, it will, or J-Mo or Gibbs or both, it will at least instill some fear into the opposing special teams because of what they can potentially do.
Yeah, and brother, I promise you, I am excited about what this new kickoff rule change can bring to the game. My mind, though, it just is still stuck on the defensive change, man. I'm just like, I guess it's a give and take type of thing. I am, like you brought up, man, to see someone like a Jamison Williams be back there, get a few more touches, at least in the kick return game. I'm hoping that as he continues to show what he has, they just continue to put Jamison Williams anywhere on the field they can, man. Okay. More touches for him, I believe, is better for the Detroit Lions.
I guess Eduardo O'Neill and I are the only ones excited about seeing the most electrifying player in the league possibly take kick returns.
Yeah.
Or Khalif Raymond or Donovan Peoples-Jones. The fact that this team can do it with the weapons they have, and if you put J-Mo back there, the other team doesn't want to kick to him, so what do? Kick it out of the end zone. You give Jared Goff and that offense the ball at the 40. Yeah. I think this is an incredible rule for the Lions. They take special teams more seriously than almost any team in the league. Yeah. It's going to be a huge advantage. Well, I am jacked up about this rule.
I mean, here's the thing, and maybe Maurice Alexander takes a roster spot as
Great
well.
Call.
Yeah. And Maurice Alexander actually posted something on X now about how like, I think somebody said something like, put J-Mo and Gibbs back there, and Maurice Alexander quote tweeted it like, no, that's my job. Let me get 1,000. But just to clarify the whole Devin Hester thing, because it's blown up the chat.
You see the chat there, right?
Yeah. How do you hate that?
The man had 20 return touchdowns in 11 seasons. Every touchdown is worth the same. It's worth the same. The best in the world get 1 or 2 per year. Cordero Patterson has the record of kickoff returns in a career with 9. You cannot be a Hall of Famer just being a kickoff return. If you want to say he played a little receiver, he was a mid-at-best receiver. He has 37 career touchdowns.
He did control the field, man.
Yeah.
Even when he wasn't getting touchdowns, he helped to control the field.
Play every down.
You
play
guys,
every down.
You know what? Ben Wallace, Devin Hester, Darren McCarty, and Sam Reynolds walk into a bar.
All right, I'll get off my soapbox. I just had to.
Oh man, you know what? I know we got what's trending on the way, but first I got to tell you guys about something awesome. Awesome is when a guy can be a guy and get an amazing haircut. That's Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Stop in and sit back and relax and let one of Lady Jane's talented stylists make you look and feel great. Walk in anytime, 7 days a week. It's Lady Jane. It's wicked awesome.
Buying your first Feldman Chevrolet is much more than buying the car that will get you from point A to point B. It's a place for first memories, some big, some small. As she grows, you're not just buying her a Chevy, you're buying into a Feldman family. With more than 700,000 vehicles sold, from generation to generation, Feldman just keeps rolling.
Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? You should see what I did there. Go Red Wings! From Octopi experts, Woodward Sports.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Give your pet the best. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences of the online and big box retailers with one major difference. They've been family and locally owned for over 30 plus years. They have over 60 brands of food and nutrition experts to help you. Same day, local curbside and home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best at www.premierpetsupply.com.
The QB challenge, the one that I didn't queue up to myself. Let me just
Devin Hester would have had it queued up.
He probably would have. Hey, he's better at his profession than I am at mine. I'm a self-aware man.
You're a pro, man.
Thank you.
You're our vet.
Shake Shack and Woodward Sports want to remind you, it's always football season. How would you like to win 2 free tickets to this season's home opener? It's the Shake Shack QB Challenge. If you can throw it on a rope, you could be at the home opener. Register today for your chance to win at any Shake Shack location, woodwardsports.com, or scan the QR code right here.
What up, though, people? There we go. Welcome back. It is Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for supporting the show today. Definitely go ahead and hit that like button. And if you already have, encourage somebody else to do the same. But you guys already know it's time for What's Trending. It's time for the most electrifying segment in sports entertainment. If you smell what JB Smooth is cooking with What's Trending. Let's rock. Jay Bizzle.
What's going on, fellas? I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Is my mic cutting out?
Yeah, you good. You good now.
Good. All right, cool. So look, I'll make this one, a little easy and quick for you guys. Wait, I gotta ask: is this a definition of Ball's life?
Oh my!
Oh, at the gas station though.
Uber Eats.
In the turning lane.
Is he panhandling while hooping?
Like, come on, man.
Dog.
Trying to get some shoes, and then you get arrested.
Damn.
In the bathroom.
Oh, come on. Dribbling at the urinal is wild.
I have to ask you guys, is that the true definition of Ball is life?
Bro, that's Baller's universe right there.
Yeah,
man.
dog, for real.
Goodness gracious.
Oh man, KG, what you think about that?
We're gonna have to recreate some of these What's Trending, man. We have to get some skits going. That's hilarious.
Oh man. All right. Well, next up I gotta show you guys this. Did you know that you could get a nose job in Thailand?
A nose job?
Yeah.
In Thailand?
In Thailand.
You could get a lot of things in Thailand.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
What you bring back.
But you could get a nose job in seconds in Thailand.
Seconds?
Ooh.
Hmm?
Oh,
Shit.
Yeah.
man. Stop the fight.
But like I said, you can get a nose job in seconds.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
In Thailand.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Bro.
You ain't breathing out of that thing anytime soon.
Man, he went from Luke Wilson to Owen Wilson in a matter of
seconds.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Gracious.
Oh, yeah.
That was good. That was a good one.
It's what's trending, man.
Oh,
Bring
man.
our A game.
And I know we just got done talking about the new NFL rule change, but I actually have video from the NFL of how you're supposed to tackle now.
Blue Mountain State.
Let's go.
Throwback, man.
Brilliant, JB.
Right.
This is how you're supposed to tackle, apparently.
Please tell me this episode was like yesterday.
Brilliant, bro.
This is from years ago, right?
TV always knows, bro.
That good old
like
Thad
South Park
Castle.
of humans. That's what we're gonna see.
Oh my gosh,
officially,
that's right on point, man.
Caress the helmet on the way down.
Make sure there's a pillow down there so you know no one gets hurt. Everyone is very safe out there. And lastly, Kool-Aid or KG, I probably have to ask you guys this one as well. Does anybody know where Blake Griffin is?
You said Blake Griffin?
Yeah.
Ain't he doing like stand up or some shit now?
I have no idea, but apparently he was spotted at
Somewhere
Costco.
else, probably dunking, like he didn't do in Detroit.
Well, he was dunking, but on customers at Costco.
What?
Blake Griffin's working at Costco.
What?
Oh. He giving out the samples. He giving out the samples.
My man said, I'd rather work at Costco than be a Piston again.
I don't know if he's truly working at Costco, but he's over there, I guess, promoting his new line of like organic drinks that he has, and Costco was one of the places, so he was there handing out free drinks.
I heard he got picked up by a team recently, I thought.
High Sharks or something?
No, that's where he should be, but it was an NBA
Blake
team.
Griffin dish out that many assists.
Hey, shout out to Mattress Leg Blake, famously of the Detroit Pistons, man. He willed them boys to the playoffs.
He did, though.
He had a hell of a year.
He don't give enough respect for that run.
He threw on those like Mike sneakers as soon as he joined the Nets and started channeling jump over the Kia Blake Griffin. Game one. I just knocked all that over.
Broder is always heated with Blake Griffin right now, man.
I do like Blake Griffin.
Just
see
knocked
that
our,
dunk after a couple years of not. No.
Yeah.
That was a good year, though.
Your windmill game is nasty. You just knocked our boy Wendell off the table.
Hey, he dunked on Wendell.
I know. I got to give this book away before the end of the show.
Oh.
Windmill game is strong, but that's it for what's trending, you guys. Back to you on the desk.
Definitely. Hey, you know what? You said we're going to give that book away?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll have a little bit of a mailbag segment as well in our next segment. But first, we got to hear from, what is this, Soroki?
Les Stanford?
No, Feldman.
Feldman. Oh, Feldman. Oh, of course.
That's why JB is the MVP.
Feldman. Jesus Christ, I am slipping today. Feldman Chevrolet in Novi. Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. They've been around since 1996. That is where I got my car. That is where Matt Broder got his car. That is where Big D Energy and Wake Up Woodward do a show live from the Novi location every other Monday. You know what? I walked in there in 3.5 hours. I was out with a new car. And for people saying that that's a long time, getting a car, that is not a long time. That is as short as can be. I got one, and I was a little upside down on my loan, and I still got a good deal. So you can too.
Hey,
if I can do it, you all can do it. Go to Feldman Chevrolet. They've helped a lot of us out, and they can help you out too.
Hi, my diamonds. It's Crystal with an X. You want to get hot and perfect like me? Here's my super easy routine. Drink at least a gallon of water before you wake up. Attach a weight to everything in your house. Sell your car and just sprint everywhere. Scream when you exhale.
Don't follow Crystal with an X. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join now for just $10 a month and cancel anytime.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Come on now, you know Woodward Sports got y'all Detroit sports coverage locked down all day long. Right after the Woo Crew 8 to 10 every day, you know it. We got Neil Rule and Red Wing legend Darren McCarty every day. Big D Energy 11 to 1. Then Michigan great Braylon Edwards with Ryan Armani and Maz on Armani and Edwards with Maz every day 2 to 4. And finish out your night with the heavyweights. Easy and Spin Mo Racks, always bringing that fire. Oh, what up, Stick?
Hey.
You want to help me finish this read?
I want to take this read away from you.
Oh, wow.
And I want you to do it like you love the shows and you actually watch them and you know the people, not that you're reading it off the paper.
Okay.
And we can't all improvise like you, Stick. I still can't do it.
I know, and that's why we gotta try.
All right.
Well, I was 80% through the read. If you could just finish that last line for me.
No, go ahead.
Oh, Woodward Sports.
Where are we at, KG? If I was standing next to you in line and you were telling me about the afternoon show, what would you tell me?
I would tell you that you should tune into the afternoon show.
When is it on?
2 to 4.
All right. Who's on it?
Ryan Armani and Braylon Edwards.
You like them?
I do.
Perfect. See, KG can do it.
Woodward Sports got your Detroit sports coverage all day long, on air and social media.
Soroki's, what's better than crispy? I gotta do it. This is a new one. What's better than crispy chicken and pizza while watching your favorite team play? Let me tell you about Soroki's crispy chicken and pizza. Their food is amazing and their locations are popping up all over Metro Detroit. A perfect takeout option featuring hand-breaded fried chicken, New York pizza, fresh salad, sides, and more. Check out their full menu and find the closest Soroki's near you at Sorokis.com. That's SAROKIS.com. Soroki's and Woodward Sports. That's crispy.
What up, dog? People, welcome back. Welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. We got Boss Man Stick in the building.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Shout out Stick. Hey, and as always, that TD booth over there rocking the Woodward Sports Shop merch. It's crispy, man. I like it. Thank you guys for supporting the show today, as always. Smash that like button to support the crew. And Mr. Broder, man, I'm going to defer to you again.
You guys are going to give your answers while we go through mailbag. I got a trivia question for you, and this is to win NFL the Prison Cell. We had Wendell Brown Sr. on tell his incredible story yesterday. This is a signed copy from the man himself, from Wendell himself. I'll send it to you. If you're interested, answer this question in the chat. On Chapter 16, he quotes a rapper, and I want you to tell me where this lyric comes from. What rapper had this lyric in his song? Always down for the cause, never down for the count. I guess when your stars align, you do like the solar system and plan it out.
That's easy.
Let me know in the chat, and you'll be getting this book, NFL the Prison Cell. Let's go.
That's easy. I know the answer, too.
Don't give it away.
I'm not.
Don't give it away. Now let's read some mailbag questions. I'll monitor the chat for the answer.
Yeah.
While we go through mailbag.
And we got Eduardo O'Neill mailbag. Do you think this trend continues next year? The last 3 years, whoever the Lions have opened the season with has made it to the conference title game. In 21, he says it was San Francisco. In 2022, Philly. In 2023, Kansas City.
Wow. That's actually an interesting trend. Well, who are they opening it with? We don't know yet. But wouldn't it behoove the NFL? Well, they might give the Chiefs it. So if the Lions play an NFC team, their opponent won't be making the conference championship game, if you catch my drift.
Hey, see what you did there. Hey, you know what? Shout out to Alan W. He asked, mailbag, what are the new expectations for the Lions? Is anything less than making the Super Bowl a failure?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just point blank, period. Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's what they're saying as well. And I think it's what we want to hear. Not I think. I know it's what we want to hear from this organization and from all of the players as well. It's get to the Super Bowl. This team is taking a step forward, and I think taking 2 steps forward. 2 steps forward. Like Rod Beard said, they absolutely attacked the cornerback position. They beefed up that defensive line. Their defense has gotten better. The offense will take a step forward as well, adding Kevin Zeitler. Super Bowl. Let's go.
Yes, and Chuck Brewer, just so you understand, I said if the Lions play an NFC opponent, the conference. You're right.
Sam standing down? What?
You right. Okay.
I got one.
Hit the like button for Flannel Sam standing down. Let's go.
Man.
Sam will always admit
Yep.
if he makes a mistake
He's a
or
real
something.
one.
Always. Chef Talks Lions asked the question earlier, actually. I'm going to reread it. You could guarantee that the Lions would win multiple Super Bowls, but the other teams in Detroit would win 0 games as long as the Lions are winning Super Bowls. Would you take it?
Yep. Give it here.
Yes.
Give it here.
Yes.
0?
Give it here.
Yes.
Our show will just disappear.
But it will explode
I
during
know.
Lions season, and we could do off season, we could do draft, we
Yeah,
could do
man.
all of that.
NFL is all year round. And just
Yes.
think, every other franchise has at least one title. The Lions do not. So
You make a good point.
Yeah, that's a great
You're
point.
kind of selling me.
That's a great point.
Yes.
Can you imagine going through a whole Pistons, Tigers, and Red Wings season without a win?
that would be nuts.
That's kind of aggressive.
Well, me and you, Broder, and KG, there's kind of some precedent to that because I will always say that if Michigan had to sell the soul of their basketball program for their football team to get a national championship,
Hey.
I would take that.
And
And
look
it
what
actually happened. However,
He did.
in real time during the basketball season, it was just like so painful. Just had to keep watching national championship game highlights every
As
night.
good of a high we were on for that national
Yeah.
championship in football
Yeah.
and still there. Man, the basketball team sucking. It's a punch in the gut, man.
You know, I'll tell you what, if Dusty May can take FAU to a Final Four, he can take Michigan to a natty sometime. So great hire, by the way.
Man.
There's something good to come out of this season.
The only one that would really hurt the most is the Tigers. 0-162. That would be nuts. How do you not win in 162 games?
It's
crazy.
impossible.
That would be a problem.
Goodness gracious. I'm going to read one more mailbag question, and, Broder, I'll get back to you. I think we got the answer in the chat.
Yeah, I'll announce it, but Charles Palmer. I already reached out to him. He's going to shoot me an email.
Dope.
It won this book. I think you're going to absolutely love it.
Awesome. And Randy Smalley, that would be our last mailbag question of the day. With added depth and improvement, would Brad think about drafting a quarterback for leverage on Goff contract talks?
I think that's Hendon Hooker's position, right?
Yeah.
I know that's kind of been a hot button topic in the city lately. No quarterback. They already have one.
Drafting a yeah, I don't think so. I believe Nate Sudfeld will be back to be that third stringer. But with Hendon Hooker being healthy, he'll be that number 2 for sure. And we're going to see him this preseason.
Yeah.
Ali McNeil made some comments about his arm like butter.
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker, he's got special potential. We'll see if it's good enough to either overtake Mr. Goff or get something back in a trade.
You know what? I'll sneak one more question in there from
Sneak it
Steve
in.
O'Baby,
Slip it in.
mailbag. And this is for you all, man. Thank you guys for tapping in today. We appreciate the support as always. I got a question. How long do you think it'll take the Lions to win a Super Bowl? Obviously, we're all talking about them getting there. What are your expectations in terms of them winning it?
About 10 months.
Well, it's hard to say because when I say if you don't win a Super Bowl, it's a failure, and their window could theoretically last 5 to 6 years, I'm not expecting them to win 5 or 6 straight Super Bowls. It's just every season that they don't win it moving forward is going to be a failed year. So I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but that means that they could win it this year. But as long as they win it once during their window, I will be fine. Just give me one.
It's a hard one to predict. I expect them to be in the mix for at least the next 3 or 4 years. They could have a great team and lose in the first round of the playoffs.
But they could absolutely win it this year, though.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And shout out Johnny Little. No, I am not James Houston's cousin. So let's just put that on the record. But shout out to you, bro.
Man, you should have let that ride. Come on.
Let's see that Ben, KG.
And
pause.
Hey.
Let's not.
Hey, you might. And but before you sign off, I just want to say one thing to the chat. I never said that special teams wasn't important. It's just not as important as offense and defense. That's all I ever said.
You make a good point with your Torrey Holt, like the every down type player.
Yes.
You make a good point.
Thank you.
I love Devin Hester, but you make a good point.
Thank you so much.
Dante. Okay, because it's a super chat. We got to read it.
We got to read it. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Dante. This is a question for you guys. Who would you trust more to run the Pistons, a Hobo or Troy Weaver?
Don't answer that, Kool-Aid.
I'll take the homeless man for 500, Alex.
Yeah,
Hobo.
KG, let it fly.
Hobo all day.
I mean, we've seen Troy. We haven't seen the hobo. So, I mean,
See?
we got to give him a chance. That's all I'm saying. Just give him a chance.
Would the hobo also have the Tellums and Tom Gordon? No, but that is a more fair question than it should be. I'll just say
seriously.
You might choice the hobo more with the money.
Would you?
Cue up your statement again.
Fair. Yeah, you're right.
Would
right.
he have?
Would he have the Atellums or a Tom Gores? That's not defending Troy Weaver. I'm just saying, like, but I will say this.
Factor.
As I said before, though, that is not an unfair question, and that's just so unfortunate, especially for people like Kool-Aid and Rod Beard, who still have to go.
Just a fan. Sam for Pistons coach. Hey, play-by-play guy maybe in the future.
Could I do a better job than Monty Williams has done this year? Yikes.
By the numbers?
Yes.
Just taking stats? Yes. Yes, you would have played. You would have started Jay Ivey, I believe.
From the
from the
you think
jump.
I'm starting Killian? Me?
From the jump.
You know what? That's a show today, man. Thank you, people, for tapping in. Hey, we got the Super Bowl trophy here. Detroit Lions. Let's go. That window is open.
Mixtape on the way.
It's open. It's open. Let's go. You know what, Sam? Let's do this test pass real quick, man. Hey, let's rock. Let's rock. Let's rock. As always, guys, you guys are a very important part of this show. Smash that like button on your way out. Share the stream. JB Smooth is cooking up right now in the TV booth. So we'll start with the breakdown. JB Smooth, Woodward Sports MVP.
Jay Bizzle.
Hey, yo. And we got Detroit's #1 draft pick in the sound booth, Mr. KG, a.k.a. James Houston's cousin.
Not James Houston's cousin.
Houston 2.0 over there.
Hey.
If I was, I wouldn't be here.
We got our vet on the squad, Mr. Sam Reynolds, a.k.a. Flannel Sam. Always great to have you, man. This has been an awesome week.
El Flano.
We got, Mr. Professional. Our Detroit Lions and Detroit Tigers credential beat writer and reporter, Matthew Broder.
Hi. Dirty joke extraordinaire.
Dirty joke extraordinaire.
Thanks for tuning in.
A.k.a. Fast Forward. Anything for the people?
No, what a great show. Thanks so much for all the support. Love having Rod on. Love talking Lions, Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers. Tomorrow, we got a big show for you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. Friday, Big Mont, too?
Oh, it's bigger.
Oh, shit. Can it get any bigger?
I was just trying to coax a Fast Forward out to end the show.
Huge.
And we got it.
Huge.
We got it. And it's your boy, Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid. You're suffering Detroit Pistons credentialed writer and reporter.
It's almost over, bro.
Hey, then the fun begins. Exit interviews, draft, free agency, hopefully better season ahead.
Let's hope.
But we can only hope. One thing we know, though, these Lions, man, they got it going on, and these Detroit Tigers. Let's rock. Thank you guys as always. This has been Wake Up Woodward. Have a good day.